Mom, Tax is going to be in the Premier League, so please make sure that I'm there at UP so I can carry on my football aspirations.
Yes.
And then you can give me my fine art or be a Bachelor of Arts of something.
Yes.
And that's all I'm expecting. And when I get back and I ask, okay, what did you apply for? Did it all go well?
Yeah.
She goes, actuarial sciences at UCT or chemical engineering.
There's no PA arts in this house.
We don't do PA
There's no
general
arts
here.
here. Uzayenza the arts.
Welcome back to another episode of the All Rounders SA podcast. Oh, we are so back. We are back like we never left. Nons, how you doing?
Oh, good, bro.
We are. You just went straight there.
No, Chief. You know when you're surrounded by greatness,
Yeah.
you must acknowledge.
You just
things.
went straight there.
No. But we're good, Chief.
Yeah,
I've been
you
seeing
good?
you too much lately.
Yeah, man, too much. It's good when you are away. It's good when you are away, when you are working.
You do one episode without me.
When you are a real person, when you are a real person and have a real job and real
That was
life.
tired introduction.
But yeah, we've got a great guest. Like you said, you alluded to these pieces of precious metal in front of us. We've got a Paralympian with us, amongst us, a world record holder. The man broke plenty of records. Not only broke, he shattered records at the Paralympic Games. He came back with 2 gold medals and a bronze medal, right?
1 gold, 1 bronze.
One gold, one bronze.
Yes.
Why am I getting it mixed up?
There's plenty of golds.
There's
there.
a lot of golds
Yeah.
there. Yeah.
Is it World Championships? The other ones, the other one, the other
Yeah,
golds.
back to back World Championships.
Yeah, Papa. The man is a famous Paralympian. He's also a corporate baddie by the looks of him. You can see
Santon, son.
He's there in the middle of Santon.
Santon, son.
Ladies and gentlemen, please help us put our hands together and welcome Mpumelelo Mhlongo. Boom, sorry calling you a corporate baddie, but I mean you're there.
Chatile, bro.
You're there.
Chatile.
He's corporate.
Chatile ipedi.
He's a corporate baddie. He's a baddie in his space. Booms, thanks for your time.
Thank you for having me.
Really, really great to have you on the show. Great to meet you as well. I mean, we watched the Paralympic Games and the Olympic Games with so much enthusiasm because we want to see South Africans do great in those events. And you came back with these 2 nice pieces of medals in front of us. I mean, that's a great achievement. But before we get to all of those achievements, and you've achieved a lot in your career, we want to go back to how it started, where you come from. Born in Klaarwater, is it?
Yeah, Clarota.
What?
Clarota.
Clarota.
But it's pronounced Clarota because, the Zulus don't recognize Afrikaans.
Yes.
But when you spell it, it's Clarota.
Yes. I'm like, no, I'm saying this right. Klaarwater. That's like Chatsworth side in Durban, right?
Yeah, very close to Chatsworth.
Yeah. How was it like being born there and also like growing up in a community like Klaarwater?
I think it's like every part of South Africa, Kule Lokshini, has a lot of perks, which means that it's very community orientated. You grow up as a village where you play all the sort of sporting codes that you can think of. Any excuse to get into trouble, you find it.
Yes.
But a beautiful community, not without its own issues. Growing up in the 90s where disability still had a major stigma attached to it. Created a lot of havoc for my parents and family, but I was sheltered from any of that reality. I just wanted to be known as the kid that's fast, that you must pick at every single sporting event. And if that's all I was known for, then I was happy.
You mentioned something so important there, like being born with a disability. How much of that affected how you grew up? As Mpumelelo Mhlongo, and of course your family. You also mentioned the fact that it caused a lot of havoc for your family. How was it growing up? Did you experience that in a way that, people looked at you differently from some of the able-bodied people that you grew up with?
Yeah, I think it's funny, right? Because I think every community will have that nuance.
Yeah.
And how do you perceive somebody who has a different way of being than you?
Yeah.
And the greatest difficulty I had is trying to explain that my deformity is not contagious.
Yes.
If you,
Yeah.
I don't have magic where I touch you, then your foot is a chicken foot.
Yeah.
Where I touch you, then you're missing fingers.
Yeah.
So you just need to be comfortable that it might not look like yours.
Yeah.
I might not have the same ability as you.
Yeah.
But it doesn't change the childhood of me wanting to be like every other child. The aspirations are the same.
Yeah.
But, when you look back, what really puts you apart when you grow up with a disability is that you understand how to be resilient from a very young age. You understand how to assimilate to a culture so people don't see you differently.
Exactly.
Which are things that you need in life as an adult. It's just at the time you look at it as a burden for your existence. But meanwhile, you're learning skill sets that are going to make you supersede any of your peers when you're older.
I think for me, Paul probably would be a great starting point because, through my research, I had to obviously learn what it was and how it came about. Can you explain to maybe the audience, our viewers, what type of disability you have, and obviously how was that also growing up in terms of now realizing that obviously it's going to be a different experience for you in that regard?
Yeah, and now you can imagine the difficulty of my poor mother, isiZulu, learning that her child has a congenital deformity called amniotic band syndrome with a deformed clubfoot and missing finger digits. But all that happens is that while you're in your mother's womb, you're sitting in an amniotic sac. And if there's a rupture of that sac, you get these rings that will constrict how you form as a baby in the womb. And I then didn't form fingers. I didn't form a fully fledged foot on my right hand side, which are all things that are now detectable with modern science. And they literally need to do one injection and it releases, and you don't have to grow up with a permanent disability. But we're in South Africa, it's the 90s. Who knew any better? And that is the complication. You get this massive amount of English that you have to translate to Zulu. And Zulu, ukhubazekile.
Just like that, it covers everything.
Dan, whether you're blind, amputated, it doesn't matter, ukhubazekile, finished.
And then in your childhood, now how easy or hard was that experience? Like you said, you wanted to just be in the street, play sport, play everything. How was that in terms of friends and people around you? Did that hold you back, or you just I don't care, I get involved?
No, I was fortunate. My mother said, as young as I can remember, she said, if anyone has an issue with your deformity, that's mine. Inyawo lami lelo, izandla zami lezo. So those are my fingers, my foot. What is yours is what you are used to and what everyone else will deem as normal. So I had this disassociation with my own body, because if you came to me and you said, when's again? I'm like, hey,
that's my mom.
That's adult business. Don't come speak to me about that. She said, congenital, no. And it was as simple as that. Disassociate, that's not mine. I don't understand it. You can come talk to me and say, but ubano takate, those are big words. Like black magic, I have no understanding. But what I do know is that as a child, if you want to verse me, let's run.
Let's go.
If you think I'm limited by what you see, come test it.
Let's go.
Come test it. If you think I can't kick a football, let's see who can kick it further.
Let's go.
And that's all I did. It's just a competitive spirit of... I may have something different, but it doesn't mean I don't know how to use it.
Growing up then, you speak about all of this, and then your mother and of course your parents shielding you from all of this growing up. How much of a toll, and now growing up and trying to understand how much of a toll it took on them, did they ever explain to you how difficult it was for them to be able to sort of understand what it was that was happening to you as their child, and obviously having to protect you from a community that also wasn't understanding of what had happened in medical terms?
I think, in all honesty, I don't think they ever dealt with it themselves. So they had no way of communicating that to me.
Yeah.
All that is funny is that obviously all of this is happening, it's complex, and then finally my parents go, we know what name we're going to put to you, Mpumelelo.
Yes.
You are success.
Yes.
This is what we are putting into the world for your own future. And you can see in later years where they ended up getting divorced that there was all this trauma that was never dealt with in my early childhood that obviously affected their marriage, that affected the relationship with the two different families. So I can only assume that it was incredibly difficult, so difficult that we don't even speak about it today.
Really?
No, it's when I ask my mom or my father, like, your firstborn son comes out with a disability. How did that affect our family? Immediately, it didn't do anything. Our divorce, the rupture of the family ties had nothing to do with you. But we know the reality is that whatever happened behind the scenes affected them. But kudos to them. They never made me feel as though I was a burden in any way.
That's so surreal for me, because I mean, it sounds as if they're still protecting you to this day. I mean, you're 30 years old and you're still
I'm a grown ass man,
married, and they still protecting you. Like, do you feel that still as a grown up now, to say that your parents are still protecting me in some way?
100%. I think that's the role a parent has to play. Just because your child is now a grown man with his own family doesn't mean so they've lived that life, and a true testament to their characters. I think they'll die protecting me. And it's easier when you've got the accolades behind you to say that how Mpumelelo, Paralympic champion, world record holder. He's got his chemical engineering degree. He's doing his doctorate in chemical engineering. He's got a full-time
employment. This seat in the last couple of days.
So by and large, you had a normal upbringing. You had a normal childhood because you played sport and different sporting codes. With so many people that didn't live with a disability.
100%.
Did that also just make it normal to you that, look, I'm still a member of community that can contribute in a way that everybody else is contributing?
The difficulty with English is that there's so many layers of nuance and vocabulary, right? Whereas isiZulu is very simple. And because of that simplified form of describing what I had, I never saw it as, you do not have the same ability. All I ever thought is, everyone wants to be in A-team rugby, so I'm going to be in A-team rugby. Basketball, LeBron James, I'm going to be, Mamba mentality, Kobe, I'm going to be in A-team basketball. I never thought that, I need to be in a Paralympic space because I've got a deformity, therefore I need to be measured in that way or format. That only came later in life, once I could enunciate my language. Before then, it was whoever is challenging, we go. And I love that, because you do grow up in the community feeling as one of the boys, one of the members, and you can always forever be contributing, because that's what we do. You do your best, and sometimes you win, and other times you don't.
I'm interested too, because I mean, it sounds like this. Your educational side and obviously your schooling, how was that for you in terms of I'm actually even interested, what school did you go to?
So we moved around a lot. I would say that in my early formative years, I didn't care about school. I always thought, I'm going to be a football player. So I got Dlalela Makosi. After a while, Arsenal is going to give me a call up under Arsene Wenger.
What a terrible club. Oh my God, now you've lost it.
This wouldn't have happened.
This would have never won.
Because you can't be an Arsenal supporter and associate yourself.
No, it doesn't work.
You must ask Henri that.
That's why I had to leave.
We had our time, guys. So I was never focused on my academia. And I always used to tell my mom, would be like, Mdanwam, you just got condoned. Like, why aren't you using this opportunity to come out of poverty? Because the black child only knows education as the surest way out of poverty.
Yeah.
So that was only when I was in high school. So I ended up matriculating at Kearney College.
Okay.
And to make a long story short, I was at a crossroads where I needed a scholarship to stay at the school.
Yeah.
And to stay at the school, they're like, my man, you need to be in the top 12 in the grade. Your average needs to be over 85% across your subjects. Otherwise, we cannot
give you
the scholarship so that you matriculate here. And switch
so close though. Like that's
switch of a button. Yeah. So then I was like, cool, if academia is where I need to be, and it's just books. It's the same way as kicking a soccer ball, and I just need to practice my acumen to learn in a different format, and that's what we did. We graduated with 7 distinctions.
No, you're very resilient, mate. Because like, it's not something you can decide on over. Well, you did. Like to say, I'm
gonna focus.
And be the student. And no, that's really like commendable. And then 7 distinctions.
Yeah.
And then now you know we're at that point now. School is done.
Yes.
What is next for you? I mean, I'm sure the university space. How do you decide then what's the next step that you take?
Once again, my mother, this is why I call her the protagonist of my childhood, because in my matric year, matric, you're busy with other genders. And
Social life.
My first team. And then I end up in America for World Choir Games, because I was one of the heads of choir where we did Cincinnati, New York, Miami.
Yeah, I just went.
Yeah.
Choir.
So I'm in America and everyone is applying for university. So I told my mother, I'm like, Mom, Tax is going to be in the Premier League, so please make sure that I'm there at UP so I can carry on my football aspirations.
Yes.
And then you can give me my fine art or be a Bachelor of Arts of something.
Yes.
And that's all I'm expecting. And when I get back and I ask, okay, what did you apply for? Did it all go well? Yeah. She goes, actuarial sciences at UCT or chemical engineering.
There's no PA arts in this house.
We don't do PA general here.
She was like, you want to be in poverty for the rest of your life? I'm like, Mom, I thought we had a plan here, man. So I was like, I don't want to be an actuarial scientist or an actuary. I would rather go into chemical engineering, whatever that means. I had no idea what an engineer did in that format. But I knew it was the lesser of the two evils, and that's where I went into. That's where I went into for UCT.
That is like that blows my mind, because I mean, in no part were you in control of that application process. Like it was your mother saying, "Look, you have the potential to do this. Therefore, we see you going in this direction." Did you like sort of warm up to that as you went through that course, and how much of it was difficult or easy for you?
I think you choose your difficulties in life. And once again, language is important. Impilo, impi. That's war. So I always grew up with that mindset that in life you are always at war or at battle with something. And my mom goes, these are your choices. PwC can sponsor you for actuary, or Sasol is going to sponsor your chemical engineering degree, and you're going to get paid to go learn. Oh, what? Paid? What's in your phone? Something people pay for. So immediately, your head switches and goes, pay me. Pay me.
Go.
Let's go.
Good enough motivation now.
More than enough motivation. In my bank account, every month you go, so that I can go do the textbook. I was like, no, that's easy. And once again, the battle was trying to understand and contextualize, okay, what is engineering? What are the different subject codes? what do I find difficult? What support do I need to ensure that I graduate with this degree?
Yeah.
But I was always willing to put in the time. I was always willing to find the necessary people that would assist me in that journey. And my girlfriend, who I met on the second day of university, who's my now wife, was always that pillar of strength to say, we're in this together. There's a bright future here, so we just need to forge it.
University is not an easy space. I mean, most of the time, I mean, all of us have been, it's like, if you haven't kind of learned about the courses that are available and all that stuff, I mean, even with your 7 A's, it sometimes becomes very difficult if it's not something that you are really like interested in.
100%.
But I'm still shocked that, I mean, your mom basically said this is what it is. And I mean, we've seen there's a lot of dropouts where people, because of their parents, this is, you need to be a lawyer because that's what we recognize. And Umuntu actually wanted to be in arts. And by year 2, someone is either changing courses and moving to, and then it just becomes 4 years, 5 years longer. But like you just took it on board and went with it. I am and these are not like your easy degrees in any space in our university space. Like, how do you just like rock up and say, this is what I'm committing? I know you've spoken about resilience, but that's incredible to have committed and still be doing it right now as well.
I think we in our family we have this truth network where we tell the truth. And for the longest time, my parents would always remind me, you're black, you come from a township, you're disabled. Everyone expects you to fail. So if everyone expects you to fail, what are you doing on the daily basis to prove them wrong? So it's not a matter of if, it's a matter I have to be that person that succeeds at every turn, because all odds are against you. And when people expect you to fail, they want you to fail. Inadvertently, whether we know it or not, subconsciously, they want you to be that failure. So I can never be a representation of another black disabled child where they point at him and say, "Ufailile." And then that reinforces that people with disabilities don't contribute to our society. And we took that on and we said, we will be that example of you can succeed at every turn. You just have to apply yourself and find the right support.
How key has been your relationship? I mean, you've mentioned quite a few times and your grand to the person that you are today.
I mean, essential. I mean, I think as children, when you grow up, a large part of who you are is your household. And then obviously the community you then associate with. So they really enforced this notion, and it worked. Don't get me wrong, sometimes it doesn't work. I've got siblings where it didn't work. It just so happened it resonated with the nurture that was Mpumelelo. Where I was like, I understand that I have a bigger role to play in my community, and if that role is that example of this is what light looks like, I'm willing to take it on. Others aren't, and that's for their own journeys and paths that they will forge. But Ukoko Noma were everything that I ever wanted to do is just make sure that they're proud.
And I mean, I'm a firstborn.
Last.
How do you now relate? I mean, you just mentioned your experience. How do you now relate to when it's completely different experiences of you and your siblings?
It's weird. I mean, I'm the only one who's disabled of my siblings. So then immediately I'm like, guys.
It should be.
I thought we were in this together.
Nina, fast. I'm so ashamed, man. I mean, my poor siblings always had this older brother who was like, excuse me. Show me your foot again. Excuse me. But it is that understanding that we all have our own path. We all have our own timing. Comparison is the thief of all joy. So I always say that they will find their time to flourish. They just need to find what recharges them. And for me, it was people and proving people wrong. So it was the combination of being that example and then also showing that, and oftentimes when people counter or put a scenario where they say this will not be your future, you go, why not? Why doesn't I also want to be in the Proteas? Why can't I be the captain of the Springboks? And that has motivated me to forge this form of lifestyle.
Sure. Yeah.
I think there's a motivational speaker.
Yeah.
I hope you are.
Look!
Yeah.
I need to book you when I
Yeah.
get married. Like you'll speak nicely about me.
When you get married, eh?
Yeah.
I love you.
She said it. She said it.
Okay.
Dirty that me, brother.
Sport has always been in your blood. I mean, you obviously spoke about being able to play so many sporting codes growing up. When did you realize that this running thing can be something as serious as going to a Paralympic Games?
I think it dawned on me. I mean, everyone knows that for any sporting code, it's about how fast you are and how agile you are.
Yeah.
So that's why we've always looked to sprinters as the ultimate form of an athlete.
Yes.
But for Paralympic space in particular, I remember it was my first World Championships in 2015, Doha. There's a blade runner by the name of Richard Brown. He still holds the world record in his class. Yes. We all lined up hot, 38 degrees. And nobody had ever beaten him out of the blocks. So I go, bah! First 40 meters, I hear the announcer, here comes Mhlongo from South Africa. So I'm moving, hey, when and get my shit. As I'm moving, obviously they come past me at like the 80 and they move past because they've got the prosthesis. But as he turns around, he beats the world record. The fastest time any amputee has run to this day was on that night. He turns around and goes, yo, man, you're fast. Yo, this South African fast, man. And I was like, hey, if this guy is saying I'm fast, one day, man, this gold medal will be mine. And that's when I decided I'm going to dedicate 10 years of my life so that one day I sit at the helm as a world record holder in this space.
Wow. Yeah. And then obviously the passion grows to be able to achieve more in the sport. Before you got into it, did you understand that there is a prestige in representing South Africa in the Paralympic Games?
I would think so. I mean, I grew up in that Natalie du Toit, Oscar era before the unfortunate incidents of the murder. But it is exactly that. Is that we knew that it was surpassing any ability. Natalie ends up 2008 at the Olympics doing that 10K swim. Oscar ends up running at the 400-meter heat at the Olympic Games. So I had this perception that with this disability, there is truly no limitations. Should you find the right people, the right team to harness this latent potential that sits in you. So that was the excitement of being in that Paralympic space. There's one, you wear green and gold. Who doesn't want to be in green and gold?
Absolutely.
But secondly, the Paralympic space is seen as the team that brings back the most medals.
Absolutely,
at every turn. So we don't have the support.
Hilton Langenhoven has done it so many times.
Jonathan Ntutu, Ilza Hayes, and Ando Mahlango in Tokyo, double gold. So we always look at the Paralympics at every 4-year cycle that these are the people who are coming back with the silverware. And I put up my hand and I said, I want to make sure I'm part of that legacy.
I'm interested in the journey though. You get a bit of a taste. Obviously, Americans saying you're fast.
Yo, man.
Yo, man. In terms of like now, the training programs, balancing your studies, how does that work? Who puts that together for you as you now saying, okay, this could be something that I do?
The coach that I had then is still my coach to this day, main coach Jason Sewenyana. He was the Ugandan triple jumper and used to compete against Ukhoso Mokoena, the crocodile. And I go to him at UCT and I go, could you please help me? You've been here before, you've been at a national level, you know what it takes. But he's also a qualified attorney who works for Old Mutual as a senior legal counsel, so you understand the balance between the two. As somebody who's been there, done that, are you willing to help a younger version of yourself who one day wants to be in that position? So he puts it together, puts the program, tells me this is what you do in the studies, this is how we balance the European circuit with the international competitions. and when the examinations are. And then from there we get more help. We get Wade Kersper as our physio. We get Robin John as our physio. I come back to Johannesburg. We get the great Roger Haitengi, who's also a triple jump champion for Namibia, to assist and become my main coach going forward into Paris 2024. So it's just about finding the right people that resonate with you. And I've been fortunate that they have put up their hands and they were always willing to assist me.
These things are not cheap, my brother.
At all.
Is anything in life cheap?
Especially, I mean, team sports are great in it because, I mean, they're always funded and all this stuff. You are on this journey
alone.
It's your journey. Along with these coaches now are willing. Are they being paid? Do you have to pay them? How is that working out in that
early
early part of your career? Who's looking after the money
space?
It has to come from your pocket.
Wow.
You invest in what you think is your reality. So immediately, fortunately, Jason initially said, I don't need you to pay me in financial terms, but I do need you to be that pillar of aspiration for the community. And then after a while I go, coach, you're putting in so much time and effort, I have to pay you. No, I have to pay my physio, my biokineticist. Urode Yila is now with Stellenbosch FC. I mean, I have to pay you because this is time you're putting in. This is your expertise. And then you find the means. I go work and use my salary as a way to pay. Until I get the endorsements where the Investex, the Bigs, the Samsungs come on board. But until then, it was coming from my own pockets because I believed that what I was doing meant something to this great nation. And if it didn't, it was also fine because I could have a few kids who could smile and say, Nangu Mpumelelo. If he could do it, so can I.
Yes.
Where does long jump fall in then? When do you realize also, look, man, I can jump from here and I can land 8 meters away? Like when does that? Because I mean the running was there. Then how did you incorporate long jump into it?
I've always been a jumper at heart. I started with high jump. That was my first love in athletics. And it was because of a grade 5 teacher, Mrs. White, she's now passed on, who saw me become very explosive because I used to do backflips, you score a goal in the soccer field and then you're doing somersaults just because it's fun. And it's like, hey, kid, you've got this explosive power. Have you ever heard of high jump? I'm like, high jump? We've jumped. We jump over a stick, and then like no, you could be the record holder for the school. So she taught me high jump, and then with high jump, you realize that actually, if I'm a sprinter, what complements me more is long jump. And then we take on the challenge to see, can I jump over 6 meters? Boom, you can. 650. Boom, 7 meters. Boom. You're like, how far can I take this? Because it's exciting just to fly in the air.
Yo, how many records do you have at Kesney
then? Lost count.
Yo! Okay.
Which events did you do at school?
All of them. I mean, at school, you do everything. 100, 200, 400, 800, shot
But
put.
100, everything. Because obviously at school, 100 is generally like the prestigious one.
Of course, you must show them. You can't just be the fastest man in boots. So the thing is, what's nice about the school format is that it's actually not about the school records. It's more about, okay, you're fast, but are you the fastest winger who can run around everyone? Are you the winger in football where I put the cross in and I know you're going to fetch it regardless. So the prestige is who's the fastest man in boots.
I mean, those schoolboy glory days are always there. Like you always measure yourself by your peers and how 100%. Much they accept of your ability. You go to Doha, you get this recognition from your peers there. What's next after that? How do you build from a morale boosting sort of performance in Doha in 2015 to go forward into some of the achievements that you've gone now?
I think the big thing is that you contextualize where you are. I know that 2015 Rio Paralympic Games is coming on the next year, but it falls in line with my honors year degree with chemical engineering.
Okay.
So then you have to choose, which one are you doing? Are you going to be full-time athlete and extend, or are you going to finish what you first started, which is my academia? So we make a conscious decision that we're only going to look forward to Tokyo. Okay. So we're going to go to Rio, we will qualify. But
Tokyo almost never happened.
Hey, when I bet on a losing horse there. It was the first time in my life I was like, how? This is how easy life can turn on you.
Like this.
Yeah. But so we go, Tokyo is the one, this is experience. Yeah. So we finish our degree, go into our masters, and we go, okay, now that we're doing the masters, we can focus on Tokyo. And then, as you said, COVID hits. Yeah. Nobody expected a global pandemic where sports is not allowed. Yeah. 7 months, I'm not training, I'm sitting. Then all of a sudden, coach goes, wait, forget about Tokyo and let's look for Paris. And I'm like, hey, guy, this is 8 years later that you're talking about. But we were always committed that we will have our time. Yeah. And that time will be singing Nkosi Sikelela at whatever global stage event to show kids that nothing happens overnight. Yeah. It's a commitment that you have to look forward to in the long term. Yeah. But that doesn't mean you don't enjoy what happens in between. We're back-to-back world champion. Yeah. We're breaking world records from 2019. Yeah, yeah. We got the sponsorship deals. You get to sit with your sporting heroes in South Africa at SA Sports Awards. Yeah. So all those little milestones are what you then look forward to.
Yeah. You win Sportsman of the Year, living with a disability. How surreal is that moment?
No, it's mad. I mean, you going against Donald, who've been there, done that, wheelchair tennis champions. So you're almost sitting in the audience thinking, it's going to go to somebody else. Yeah. I know my knee. I'm happy with where I am. And they announce your name and everyone's like, of course it was going to be you. Of course. I'm like, so it's of course now. Now we have of course. But truly honored, man. To be the best, not just in your sports, but across all sports in your country is a privilege nobody prepares you for.
I'm interested, when does now you finished your degree and working opportunities now starting to open whilst you're still this professional athlete? I'm those early days of convincing your employer, hey, there's this other side that is quite strong. I'm really interested in, and basically I would like your support. When does that start to happen for you?
I think in life, when you're certain of the value you bring, you can have non-negotiables. Wow. So that's how simple it was. I was like, I know what value I bring. I know that this space in sports is an important part of who I am as Mpumelelo. So I'll go in, swinging. Guys, I will go to the next games.
I will.
You need me. Investec, you need me.
Was it Investec?
It was, yeah. So I will do this, but to their credit and to show what sort of culture exists, they go, what do you mean this is a non-negotiable? We expect you to be there. We talk about homegrown talent that is world-class. So when we are speaking to you, we're speaking to you as a person who's going to be at the helm of the sport while being a colleague. We don't just want to sponsor you because you're great at your sport. We want to sponsor you because of what you bring to corporate South Africa, what you bring to the South African sporting culture. And that combination was seamless. So they sat me down, they said, finances, sorted. What are the resources you need? I'm like, but I also need to travel and have freedom of movement, blah, blah, blah. Sorted. So what else? I'm like, hey, what else? I didn't think that. I'm now sweating. What do you mean, what else? They're like, okay, what space will work for the sort of training that you do? I'm like, space? So I get to choose my space. They're like, yes, we believe in the whole human coming in. And that human gets to then find what home works for them.
Follow-up quick one. Is it easy or harder? We employ you and we also sponsor you. How that balance of, the same people that you work for
Yeah.
also are playing a massive part in terms of obviously your athlete side, looking after it, and obviously providing a space for that. Has that been easy, or do you feel a little bit more pressure, or is that something that you took on board? Because it's, I mean, if it's someone else from
outside,
outside
yeah.
sponsoring you, it's a different relationship.
Yes.
But those two spaces are coming together and forming you as a whole. Has that been easy, or has it kind of been hard?
No, I think it is a pressure pot because these are people you see every day. You know, these, when I walk in, how I behave is is evident, you know, I'm with a brand who represents a lot of the corporates and institutions that are in private sector South Africa.
Yes.
So now at work, when I'm working with a certain brand and then all of a sudden they want to also sponsor me as an athlete while I'm sponsored and working for a particular brand. So all those complexities you navigate by asking for assistance. You put up your hand, you're like, nobody prepared me for this. And because help, please. Because I'm not prepared for this, I don't want to do something that might be perceived as me taking advantage or not being appreciative of the opportunities that I've been given. But with the pressure pot, you know, that makes the best stews. So
In the pressure cooker.
that cooker was nice and it was very tasty.
Help us try and define some of the classifications. T44, you compete in T44 in the sprints, and T66, I think.
64.
T64
Against.
that is what, long jump
And the 200.
Please, can you try and define those two classifications for us, please?
So I'll start by the overall. So the Paralympic space, you've got 10 eligible impairment criteria that allow you to be in the Paralympic space. Of those 10, it's then depending on whatever sporting code you are and how they separate the classifications. So then for athletics in particular, you've got visually impaired. You've got your cerebral palsy class, which is now also more known to be any nerve function issue. You've got obviously your paralysis class. Then you've got your short stature class. And then you've got your amputees versus your impairment. So for a 44, I'm a single lower limb physically impaired. But a 64 is an amputee that uses a prosthesis. So it's an assisted device. If I was using an assisted device, I'd therefore be classified as a 64. But as you can imagine, like my leg, which doesn't have toes and it's half the size of my left, compared to somebody who's using a blade, they'll obviously be in a better position to perform. But because of the limited amount of events that can happen for broadcasting purposes and for viewer please, we then got one class where we could just be in our eligible impairment. And then they said, hey, but if you want to show the world who you are, you can join them. They're probably going to kick your ass. But at the very least, you're not coming for one event. You can come for 3 or 4 events. But as I said, you know, I'm a fighter at heart. So, who's going to kick my ass?
Put me in.
Fire coach. So we went in. We gave them, you know, a run for their money, and every now and again you get lucky. Bronze medal, we're not complaining.
And how do you prepare for that? I mean, because like you said, it's different classes. So do you watch a lot of this and say, okay, these are the times that we need to chase, or how do you then go on that journey, considering that it's out of your class?
I think, like everything in life, you prepare yourself. So you know that this is not about being the best 44 athletes. Now it's about who's the best athlete on the day, regardless of class. And that's the preparation mindset we go in with, is that you're fighting whoever is next to you, and you're not making up excuses of, oh, but I am. It's no, I have a great team. I've got a great coach who has a preparation plan, and I come from a community that has believed that I can represent this nation. So as long as I go in with that confidence, we never know who can be the best on the day.
I've got this quote for him. It says, my poorest performance was my gold medal win.
How?
How is that possible?
How, like,
And
easy.
that's it. The irony and the future after Paris. That was a News 24 article that I'd seen.
True, yeah.
How is winning a medal, gold medal, your
poorest performance?
So how that came about is that they're asking how I felt about the 100, and I found so much humor in it that that 100-meter race, I made 7 mistakes.
Huh?
I didn't come close to my 100
meters. You made 7 mistakes.
Yeah, and there's only 48 steps now.
Like
7 mistakes. It was the worst global performance I had in my time of the Paralympic space. So it was nowhere near my world record, but it's because it came with the gold medal and Paralympic champion.
People forget about that.
People forget the underlying. I've run faster. Many times. Every time. Tokyo I ran faster. Dubai World Championships faster. And then it becomes more about the title than the performance. And that was a mind shift for us to say, well, if I knew it was just about title, then I would have been running for the title this whole time, where we were always searching to be a better version of ourselves and thinking that is what was going to be appreciated in the space.
Wow.
How much, like on that, because that takes a lot of mental toughness to be able to separate the two and say we want to perform because we think that we can be of a different standard versus look,
chasing.
I'm here to just win a medal.
Yes.
How important is that distinction between making sure that I'm here to better myself regardless of whether I win a medal or not?
Yes. I think for anybody who's in the space that loves and is passionate, for your own mental health, it has to be about you.
Yeah.
First and foremost, what makes me happy?
Yeah.
So if what makes you happy is a better version of yourself with or without the title, because titles go next games, there's another Paralympic champion. And if you want to hold on to whatever identity at that time, then happiness, you go forth in whatever way that pleases you. But for us in particular, I want the record books to be etched in history so that any other South African that comes, the first thing we look at is, hey, who's the world record holder?
Mhlongo.
Yeah, Mhlongo. Okay. Now as we see is where I'm shooting Gipagat. And that's what gives us joy in the space, because gold medal this year is nice, and then the next games an American comes in, I'm not around, they win. But any South African child that comes into the space will forever see next to the world's best in history at some point in time, it was here Mzansi. So therefore I can also be that in a world stage, and I don't have to be overwhelmed by fear.
Do you have somebody that you speak to from a mental point to be able to forge that and be able to have that mentality, or is it something that comes naturally within you?
I think I'm lucky. I've got family and friends where these discussions are always open. We're always forever vulnerable about we all have these fears and this little voice in the head that speaks to you. I'm not enough. I'll never achieve what I wish to achieve. Regardless of how much you've done, we all face those little demons in our heads. So it's more about in your own community, how are you guys communicating so that when the demons do arise, you're able to openly say, guys, today I'm struggling. Today I'm struggling with X, Y, and Z. Please contextualize and give me perspective, because you know me. You've seen the journey. You've walked it with me. And I'm lost, because the pressure does that to you. It blinds you to how far have I come and what else am I doing for others that I don't tend to recognize.
The reality of things.
Every day. With changes.
And the journey, I mean, you've mentioned early days where you had to, even fund yourself, the program to be where you are. You're 30 now. You've got gold medals, bronze medals. I see there's a silver thing there. I'm not sure if it's something that you recognize. But has a journey of a not Paralympian, an athlete with disability got easier, or how can it be for someone else that's coming through now that, you know what, this has been paved.
Yes.
It's going to be slightly easier for me than it was in the past, where, I mean, we always talk about team sport versus individual sport in this country, and the funding that is and the support that is.
Yeah.
Is it getting easier, or is it getting better? Or, you know, how can it be more people like you who succeed like you have?
I think I've been fortunate. Although that's one of the legacies we want to leave, I'm not the only one.
Yeah.
We have a lot of individuals in our country that have succeeded, you know, beyond anyone's expectation. The Wade van Niekerks, the Akanis, the Khadas, whoever you name, they are individuals who have succeeded and showed that all sporting codes deserve that funding, because when they have the right mechanisms, they will compete globally and be the world's best. So we're just adding our names once again. If you want to see another example of that, look at Mpumelelo. And you've seen from corporate South Africa that have come on to say, no, we need to recognize people for who they are, rather than the views that they're going to get. Because as long as there's a similar face and a similar energy that you interact with as a community, you will support it. For the longest time, all we've done is always put a lot of money and attention to team sports, so therefore communities go out and support those. Now that we're seeing Caster Semenya and Akani and Wade, you're seeing communities say, well, I want to go watch. I want to see more of them on my channels. And the games happen, and then every single media outlet goes, please, we need your voice, we need your face. Why? Because already they're saying, hey, people want to hear from you. People want to hear from Paralympians, the Donalds, the Lucas. What was it like? How in future will it be different? And how it's going to be different is that we're occupying the space now.
Rugby, there's scholarships at universities, there's cricket scholarships. I even see there's frisbee now these days.
Ultimate frisbee.
You know? Ultimate, I'm not sure. Let's not make sure that way. But like, for example, for me, I'm really interested. For example, if even UCT had a scholarship for an athlete with a disability to be able to come at UCT and be able to study, so that now we actually are seeing the change that we're looking for, because we need it to be better, because minister is promising, but like where the institutions are the places where things can actually happen, where you getting your education, you being funded, and all that stuff. Is that happening? That's what I'm really interested in, to kind of support. That's good.
Yeah, it is happening. So obviously not UCT, because that's fairly academic inclined. So even your rugbies and footballs don't get the same sponsorships. But Marty's does it in Stellenbosch. Tux does it. Poch, big proponent of athletics in particular. Where they fully fund your academic career while you are pursuing whatever sporting codes. NMMU, so Nelson Mandela University does it. It's there. If you're an athlete that you have potential, you already picked up. Bobayanda Walaza have already been picked up to say you will not have to struggle, because we realize that you're coming more than just an academic student that is here to learn. You're representing our brand and the ethos that university is the space where we cultivate the best talent. And what happens with life after sport if you don't have a degree? It's challenging. So we are seeing that, which is amazing. It is amazing.
That's incredible.
We had Donald Rampadi here the other day. Didi. He was also speaking about, you know, the struggles of para athletes, and you know, most of them suffer from the unfortunate fate of having to do things on their own, funding themselves, finding things on their own, managing all of that, as opposed to probably your team sports, where a lot of the attention goes to and everything is taken care of. I know that you've been fortunate in some way that, you know, Investec has invested in your journey, and in the beginning you had to invest in your own journey. The landscape in para athletes, does it need to change from a funding point of view, where initially when you don't even think of going to a Paralympics yet, but someone says, look, I can recognize talent there, therefore I'm going to back that. Do we still need more of that in the Paralympic space?
No, we need a lot of that.
Yeah.
I mean, the honest truth is that we've got a savior complex that exists across South Africa. You want one person, and then every single sponsor wants to sponsor that person.
That one, yeah.
That one. I want to see Mthanda Kholis. I'm like, yeah, I'll get rugby. I want to see Viwe. I want Mpumelelo. And what we need to get to is to say that there is no savior in our sport. We are all part of that community that ensures that the longevity of how we represent it in the global stage comes from ground up. And parasport needs to build a brand. Because the reason why team sports is easy, the structures are there, but they've got a singular brand where it doesn't matter who comes in or out. It's the brand that is supported. So when you associate with that brand, you immediately get that support. We don't have a brand. So you then have to go create your own brand that comes and supports you, that doesn't filter into the rest of the space.
That's incredible.
So hopefully we can come together as Paralympians that have succeeded and say, this is our brand, corporate South Africa, look after us, because our federations are trying, apparently. Our academies, I'll say from Western Province perspective, the Provincial Sports Academy does do a lot, but they only have so much capacity. And then SASCOC will come and do an operational excellence program, but that's only after you're in the top 3 in the world. How do I go from nothing to top 3, then you want to support a top 3? It's too far. You must support me while I'm still here.
Back the dream early.
And I always give an example in athletics in particular of active guy, Zane Weir. He's the Italian shot put champion who's also an Olympian. South African. Born Westville, KwaZulu-Natal. Went to UCT. Said, guys, I've got a talent. I know I can be an Olympic shot putter. Got nowhere. In South Africa, couldn't even make the provincial team to go to nationals. They told him, you don't have the talent. Some Italian shot put coach said, I like the way you move your feet. You're very fast. There's something there. What's your hunger? And he goes, I will be an Olympic champion if you give me this. They said, come over. Come to Italy. He's now representing Italy, came 5th at the Olympics in Tokyo. He was now at Paris after being injured, held the Italian shot put record, all because somebody said, I believe what you are saying is worthwhile to take seriously. And now we've lost the whole Olympic champion.
We lost the gold medal.
Hey, we lost another medal.
For you, I mean, you're 30 now. You've been to a couple of Olympics. You've got a fantastic career on the side as well. What's next for you? I mean, do you see the US Olympics as something that you still want to chase, or is there any maybe short-term goals that you are pushing at the moment?
There's all these things there's been a lot of sacrifice in my own community that I've now named my time away from my home back in KZN, where I can't visit as much as I'd like to, my time with my wife and holidays away with our friends. So all these things need to become a reality of, if we're doing it, we have to do it differently, because it can't be the same sacrifices. It's just not worthwhile. So if we do go to 2028, what happens differently is we want to do World Indoor Championships, where it's a 60-meter race against able-bodied athletes, just to change the perception around disability a little more, because I think I'm fast enough to compete at a World Indoor Championships for 60 meter. So then we need to put up our hand and say, let's see how far we can get there. Exhibition events at a rugby game, a football game, where it's me versus Akani versus Cheslin versus Uzwane. All one, and seeing who's the fastest 30-meter sprinter across the sporting codes. If there's a cricketer who's fast, I've never seen one, who thinks they can they can join the group, they join the group.
He can tell us.
Can you tell us one?
He can tell us.
I think Temba in his days was quick
He's got no hamstrings
now those
anymore.
hamstrings now are different.
So all those exhibition events where it's cross-sporting code, we get to showcase talent in South Africa. Those are the things I'd be more interested in. And then, yes, if it's a Commonwealth, we'll go and we will represent the nation. We'll come back with medals. But we've realized that
Not a matter of if.
No, we will,
Yeah,
because we are committed
Yes.
to representing the nation. But we want to represent the community.
Yeah.
And if the community are not seeing us often enough, then there is no community that will recognize you.
Mpumelelo Mhlongo, the athlete, the corporate baddie, how different is he to Mpumelelo, the husband?
Interesting. How different? I'm not the one who has to answer that. That would have to be my wife.
Okay.
I would like to think it's one and the same.
Okay.
Yeah, it's all tender love.
Yeah, it's no difference.
No. It's a commitment. I mean, marriage is a commitment for life. It's something that you work on a daily basis. Yeah. You want to succeed in it. You have to define what that success looks like for you. Yeah. And I think me and my wife do that quite well. Yeah. And just like in the sporting world, I call her my life coach. Yes. So, yes, ma'am. Yeah. What needs to happen now? Yeah. Oh, thank you, management.
Thank you, management.
HQ. There's only one guy, by the way, who resonates with what you say. It's your Arsenal support.
We are still trying to get there.
So he's getting closer.
When you don't know love, you don't know life.
Yeah, no, I get it. How do you deal with the attention now that comes to Mpumelelo Mhlongo? Because when you come back from a Paralympic Games, there's these big welcomings, and we were speaking about it off camera a little bit earlier on about how much it could potentially overwhelm you. How do you handle it? How do you deal with it now, with the achievements that you come back with from Paris 2024?
I think honestly, it's just to seek advice. You go to the people who are much more famous than you will ever be. Yeah. I think this is a small glimmer of light, only because it's the Olympics and Paralympic year. Yeah. But we've got people who are really famous in our country globally that will be etched in the history books, that will be recognized when they touch down in Peru. Yes. So I'm not that guy. So I can contextualize to say, okay, I'm fine. Yeah. Yes, I might be struggling with that one person at ShopRite who notices me.
Oh my God, it's Mpumelelo. It's Mhlongo.
But so contextualize that your fame is because you've represented your community and they're proud of you. Yeah. And as long as you're being true to yourself and not now thinking that you are, DJ Khaled in America or Kobe Bryant back in his day, is how we deal with that fame.
Yeah. See, I'm Tanda Polisi guy. The guy he's anywhere in the world.
Everyone knows.
Everywhere.
No, he's been... I want to talk about this thing. Yes. And the pressure of, yes, you've won it now, but you came here with boxes. There was a suitcase of maintaining these things and making sure that you keep them for life. And is there things that you have to do to make sure that if someone is thinking of funny business, you still remain protected? What is the pressure now of making sure that these things remain safe and with you for the rest of your life?
I think I'm lucky, other than your general insurance, because things happen in this world, so you want to protect not just you, but what this means for the community. Is to say, hey, the corporate world is there where my group CEO is a multi-millionaire and he gets to walk around without a bodyguard. This is only a fraction of what these people earn on a yearly basis. So hopefully they target bigger fish.
Not me.
And they leave me to be. I like walking around as Mpumelelo with no security. And I'd like to think that I've represented the community well enough in all my endeavors and non-profit work. I'm always giving where I can of my time, of my money, of my life. So that when they see me, they don't see a rich target to take down, but rather another asset that they can use, and together we can do more and grow the pie so we can all eat.
Out of all your medals you've won, is there one in particular that stands out more, where you thought, I'd combine my hard work, performance, everything just clicked, and the time, everything, just
As I imagined it.
As I mentioned. Is there one that stands out, or maybe actually without the medal, where you thought that was a hell of a race, or that was a hell of a jump?
I think probably the greatest medal I have in my heart is a bronze medal from Dubai 2019. And it was in the long jump.
World Championships.
And the reason why is that we got a silver in the 100, which was an amazing race. I was injured, pipped everyone on the line, and I was still running against the Blade Runners. So it was the first time somebody without a blade has medaled, which was really exciting. But because I put so much in the 100, I was shattered. So I literally I remember going back and the doc there, and Doc Kevin going, wait. We're going to the long jump for fun, but my man, you finished your body, your mind, you put everything on the line, so you're done. So we're sitting in jump 4 and we're 4th. And we're 690 something. And the guy who's sitting at 3rd is at 706 or 705 if I'm not mistaken, somewhere there. And I go to my coach, I'm like, no, coach, I only have one more jump left. He goes, yeah, but there's 2 jumps in the competition. I'm like, so what do I do? Do I give everything I have in this one and we know the last jump is nowhere? Or do I rest and recover a little more and in the last jump I risk everything with just that jump? Because it's fine margins. You overstep, you wrong rhythm. Coach goes, go sit down. I'm like, what? I mean, I put it as an option, but I didn't think you're going to take that one. He goes, no, I trust you. I trust that what you have is enough just to beat him by a centimeter. It's like, I'm not asking for anything more than 1 centimeter. So you go sit down, rest, recover, come back for 6 jumps to get your 3rd place. And I go down and I sit and I relax. And then as I'm about to jump, I look up at coach and I go, this one is for you. And then I go, boom. As I land, I come out that pit. I'm like, hey, did we really do it? 1 centimeter. 707. World record in my class, T44. 1 centimeter away from the guy who was 3rd. I push him down to 4th. And then he has to jump after me. And then, so I'm celebrating. Coach is like, but he still has to jump. I don't care, coach. I did what I needed to do. If he comes and beats that, it's fine. And unfortunately, he didn't. And then we ended up in 3rd place, which was a true testament to, when you put your mind to it and you really believe. Every now and again, you can do the impossible.
And in terms of, I mean, you just mentioned there, came 3rd as the record. And some people might look at you celebrating number 3, like that is, how do you give context to certain people? Because I mean, obviously there are different classes, and obviously now that we're getting to understand your sport a lot more, it's starting to make sense. But like, when someone is sitting there thinking, this guy's coming number 3, but the way he's celebrating is out of this world compared to number 2 and number 1. How is that feeling when do you just say, that's my moment, that's what I'm celebrating in that point in time, I don't care what everyone else is saying in that time?
I think happiness is contagious. 99% of all humans, when they see somebody joyful and exuberant, they don't immediately go, why are you so happy? So I think in that moment, it's really the feedback from a lot of the crowd is like, I love seeing somebody love doing something they love. And it's as simple as that. So we're contagious. And as we are happy, they jump around and they even forget that it's 3rd place. So oftentimes when I've done any competition and we've shown that love, I'll get back to the stand. They're like, oh, congrats on your gold medal. I'm like, no, it was a... I was like, bronze. Bronze. Okay. But congrats anyway. And that's the sort of dynamic we have. We just, we want to be contagious and celebrating joy.
You said something about comparison earlier. It goes back to that.
Thief of all joy.
You also mentioned a little bit earlier about being able to give back and doing things that are in tune and in touch with communities. Your own community back home, how much do you give back to? How much do you look forward to give back to? How often do you visit? I know you said it's becomes a little bit difficult now to be able to go back. You don't go back as much. But how close is that to Mpumelelo Mhlongo's heart to be able to give back to communities, but particularly the one that he comes from?
I think it's interesting, and nobody has actually ever asked me that question. How do you define community? Right? And I was assisted by somebody that didn't grow up in my community to end up in the best education system in South Africa, to end up as a Paralympic champion. So I've done the exact same thing. I've always said that in my community, I will never do anything active because it wasn't somebody in my community that came back and assisted me. So I'm going to find communities where there are kids who would be like Mpumelelo, sitting there thinking that there's nothing for them. So I went straight for like Jumping Kids, where we look after kids that have had any amputation to get them into mainstream school, the right prosthesis, so that they've got this mobility to change their own life. So that's sort of empowerment.
Massive,
and that's across the country. So whatever community where there's an amputation, you call us up and we're there. We'll find a way to assist. I've got Steps Clubfoot Care, where we're looking to kids that were born with club feet or a club foot, which doesn't have to be a permanent disability in life. Are they getting the right access to care, the right clinics? And that's across Southern Africa. So we've gone to say our community is people with disabilities, and if there's somebody ekla rota that needs assistance, it's not me who's going to hear about it. It's going to be my mom. She's still alive. It's going to be my father. He's still alive. And then through them, they'll come to me like, hey, Mfanwami, can you please assist in the right school? Can you please assist in the right university? Oh, do you know any trials that are happening in the sporting code? Please ask your contacts. And I've left it to them because it's first their community, then mine. The day they're no longer on this earth is when I will step in to say, actively, I will have a foundation that will look after that region. But until then, you know, I let my parents do what they did best with me. They know how to do it. They've created me. So why am I trying to step in now that I've got these accolades?
Last one. Before we wrap it up, I think we can go on for hours talking about not only just your achievements, but so many other aspects of what makes Mpumelelo Mhlongo. But I think to close it off, how do colleagues now sort of see you? You know, you walk into the office every day. How do they treat you differently, or is it still Mpumelelo Mhlongo? He sits there in cubicle 1.
Cubicle. Office space. Office space.
I think I've got a good relationship with my colleagues, but there is still that, hey, Wena. You know,
you are different.
I put on the radio, you were there with Robert Marawa. Hey, now you're chilling with Brian Habana.
Now you're chilling with the all-rounders.
Yes. I'm chilling with all-rounders in the Lion's Den. So there is that recognition that I play a bigger role in our society, but hopefully a true testament to who I am. I don't act any differently. These are still my people. We still have a job to get done. Our team really represents corporate South Africa and trying to alleviate them from their own stresses so that they can focus on their main job. And that comes first as soon as I enter those buildings.
What's next from an athletic point of view?
So we're going to get back to training soon. First sort out all my injuries. Oftentimes what people don't know, we did Paris 2024 completely injured. 2 hamstring tears, ankle ligament tear, and a quad tear. So
there's a lot of tears.
Lots of tears. Yeah. So we were completely injured when we did Paris. So we need to...
Completely injured?
Yeah. That was all a mental game. These medals and world records were a testament of the head, not the body. So we want to get the body right and see how far the body can take us when the body is in its perfect shape and form.
And then competitions then?
We'll see. We don't want to commit to anything as yet. We'll see how long the recovery period is. If it takes us a year, it does. But ideally, in the next 6 months, we're back into the swing of things. And we'll do the European season because it's summer that side and I don't like winter. And it makes the wife happy.
She can travel.
First world problems.
First world problems. You need to have some perks when you represent the country.
Absolutely.
And then, from that European season, we'll see what spins off.
Mpumelelo Mhlongo, thank you so much for your time, my brother.
Thank you.
We really appreciate it. I think we've learned a hell of a lot, not just about Paralympic sport, but just in life in general. I mean, how to carry yourself in life. Accolades come and go, but I think it's the person that lives on forever. So thank you for your wise words today, and I'm hoping that everybody who will be watching and listening to this can learn something from you as well. So thank you so much for your time.
Thank you for having me. All rounders.
Yeah. So yeah, please guys, if you again watch this, please subscribe, like, share it as far and wide as you possibly can. I think this is a great story about somebody that came from difficult circumstances to be able to make a success of what he is today, and also impact other people. So please share it as far and as wide as you possibly can. Like, subscribe, and do all those things. And we will catch you on the next episode of the All Rounders SA podcast. Bye!